Hey guys, welcome back to another book club with Mr. the Master of All Mortgages, Miles. How are you, bud?
I'm good, thank you.
And so you and I have been, for the last couple of weeks, we've been going over the book, How to Build a Brand Story, right? And kind of what that looks like in the whole nine. So if you guys haven't been, paying attention, this is the book here. Great book. Miles and I were just sitting here laughing at the fact that, like, wow, this is like book is coming like one of the best times ever. And Miles, from what you're experiencing with the book, I know we're in chapter 5 right now, and we're going to obviously move through it. But what is the one takeaway up to now that you've taken from this book, and you're just like, holy mackerel, like that's badass?
I think for me, I guess I never really thought of a brand. Sometimes you get into sales and they try to teach you tactics and how to sell people, how to talk to people, how to use your words. I think for me, using those words, this is kind of giving me an idea of how to better phrase things, how to better position myself to really understand what the client really wants. This chapter in particular is really going to help me. It's made me think a little bit more about how I'm positioning myself and what makes the client actually buy something. And I've been even thinking about myself. I've been looking at jet skis recently for some reason. I'm like, I want to get a jet ski. But what's making me want to do it? I'm like, keep thinking about that. I'm like, okay, is it the jet ski or is it something else I want to do? So it's kind of making me think way too much about myself and my decisions.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, that's introspection, and we are, all of us are constant work in progress. And so, I mean, I look at, this book, and we'll jump into it, guys, here in a second, chapter 5, The Problem. And that's actually the name of the chapter. Not Miles is not the problem. And we look at our branding has been done wrong for so long. I mean, for residential real estate and for loans, it's been predominantly, Miles, correct me on this, predominantly a self-centered marketing, push, right? It's all about me, about how amazing I am, how many my team is, how much money I have sold, or how many homes I have sold. When honestly, a lot of people just don't give a flying fuck about that whatsoever. And it's how to change that mindset, because it's about the client, the customer. And we learned earlier in our reviews that we are the guide, right? And then our clients are the heroes. And so the hero is the person we need to shine, but they also need us to come alongside and show them the way through this problem. What is it? Getting a loan, buying a house, selling a house, solving all the ancillary problems in the middle, finding the contractors, the movers, the inspectors, and walk them through this, right?
I think you're absolutely right. And mentioning the hero is the previous chapter. In this one, every hero needs a villain. And I think that's what this chapter is all about. I think Greg mentioned it. He says the chapter is called Has a Problem. And essentially the big takeaway from this one is the villain. What is the villain? Right. At first I read that and I'm like, the villain? How do you have a villain with a brand? Or how do you have it with like when you have a business? How do you create a villain? That sounds kind of weird to me. So this chapter was jam-packed with stuff.
Oh, it's so packed, dude. There's so many. It's not just that it's full of content. Like, the content goes multiple different levels down. Like, it really kind of opens your mindset up to like what has been done wrong. So break it down for me. What was the first part about the villain or the problem that jumped out at you?
Well, they basically stated that there were 3 different types of problems as a summary. Right. One of them was an external problem, one of them was an internal problem, and one of them was I can never say it.
Philosophical. You got me.
Philosophical problem. And essentially, people don't buy external problems; they buy internal problems.
No, what does that mean? Because that confused the shit out of me when I first read it.
You know what? It confused me too, and I could still be confused. But
your audio went away. Where did you go, Miles?
Greg, can you hear me?
There you are.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
I still got to figure this thing out. But okay, so external problems, and you give me your take because I want to hear yours. But mine was, I figured it was the way I read it was it's something tangible. It's like
Right.
a something that we're all fighting for. In our business, we are. The problem is, if you're a plumber and there's a leaky faucet, that's the problem.
Right.
The problem is the leaky faucet.
Right.
If someone wants to buy a home and they need to look for a house, they need a house. That's the problem that you solve. You solve the house. The plumber solves the leaky faucet. I solve financing on the loan. Something tangible. That's what I got out of external problem. Am I reading it right?
I think you're right 100%. You and I were talking off air about a marketing campaign that I'm launching with the help of a genius individual, and he and his company have just crushed it for our team. But we're offering out a marketing campaign. You and I were discussing this, that we are going to front up to $10,000 of our own money to get their home to the best possible condition it can get to before it goes to the market. And so I was thinking about it. I'm like, this handles a kind of a few of the problems, because you handle the external, which is the physical condition of the home, right? And how, and then the internal issue is they feel bad about it. They don't, and they want to get the most money out, but they just can't do it, right? And so I think we hit two of them. I just don't understand the philosophical side of it. I'll probably get to that, but I mean, external are the features. Would you agree?
I feel like I read it as it's just the product that we offer. They have a problem, we offer the product.
Okay.
So if it's if I'm a painter, I think it was one of their examples, and my house needs painting. That's the problem. The solution is I'm going to paint your house.
Okay.
I think it's whatever product that we offer seemed to be the solution to that. But internal problem was a little bit different. It kind of went into why they're doing something. It's a deeper story behind their living. It's a motivator. What's motivating them to do something? Like if someone comes to us and says, I want to buy a house. Well, why do you want to buy a house? Yeah. That's the internal thing we have to go into and kind of seep into to try to get them to either buy or use with us, or use us, is the way I kind of read it.
I right before this, I just got a call on my big old $5 million listing, which I'm very happy we got that thing pending. So I'm really pumped on that. But when I was talking to these buyers, I asked them, well, why do you want to buy such a big house? And then they said, well, between us, we have 4 kids, and we were raised with land and animals, and we want to. And they quote, we want to get back to our roots, and we want to, so on and so forth. So that's what their internal problem seems to have been there. And then they asked me about the internal, external. The external problem was, how do we afford a $5 million home? And so we started walking through that, which I actually going to talk to you about after the show. But it was a very interesting process as I was able to ask them more questions, find out what was important to them. The internal side started coming out. The kids could walk to school. They're starting a new business that's in town. It's all these other things. So as soon as you start peeling the layers back, right, then you're able to go, oh, that's why you want to buy it.
They had an interesting story in the book that it just hit me. They had a story about CarMax. Yeah. And basically someone goes and buys a car. So why would someone choose CarMax or some other dealership or a used car lot? And it hit me because I've bought a new car before, and it's a horrible experience. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
I think I it took me like 2 weeks, and then they were calling me every day, and then I ended up going back. I was there till like right before they closed. I told them no, I walked away, and then they called me back in. And I'm just summarizing because it took hours that one day.
Right.
It took probably 6 hours I was there. And they called me back and say, okay, you owe me, we'll do it. All that stuff. And they were talking about CarMax. The root of the issue is a lot of people who want a new car don't feel intimidated by having to go in there and haggle or think they're getting robbed if they don't get a certain percentage. Because that was my feeling. I'm like, if I go in here, how am I going to know how deep I'm taking it? And CarMax solved that problem by just saying, hey, our people aren't paid by commission. We're selling it for this certain price, so you know you're getting the bottom dollar. We're only doing a certain percentage above Kelley Blue Book, maybe. I found that to resonate with me because I was thinking, oh, okay, that's what they kind of mean if you're a business and you're solving a problem in this internal way. So I don't know. I really enjoy that story.
I enjoyed that a lot as well. And the other one that really hit me was the one about the car rentals, right? And I know we're talking a lot about cars here, but I mean, the last time I was at a car rental place was in Hawaii, right? Now, my girlfriend and I, we were tired, we were hungry, we were worn out, and it took for fucking ever to get through this car rental line, because I don't know if they just made a special brand of stupid that day, but everyone was Neanderthal knuckle dragger number one. And so when she and I were waiting there, I could see there were anger sharks building in her brain, and I'm sitting there going, I got to calm this and put the anger sharks down. But what the car rental company did, instead of having to have idle bullshit chit chat without having to be just wait in lines, you can literally just rent your car, walk to your car, get in your car, leave, and that was the problem they were solving. So in our businesses, and again, I don't have the answer right all the time, but what can we solve for our clientele when it comes to buying and selling and getting loans?
I think for me, one of the things I started doing, and I learned this from a coach, because I have a mortgage coach. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, because yours is a little different, one of the things people are hesitant about my industry is, what are the rates? Mm-hmm. I've noticed that people don't need the absolute lowest rate, which is what a lot of people sell out there. Mm-hmm. They just want to make sure you're close. You're in the area. If you provide them a better service, they're going to stick with you. So for me, one of the things that I try to do is, at least I started doing it late last year, is usually I'll show them, I'll take them to a website. I'll go, okay, let's go to Quicken's website. What's their rate? Okay, well, they'll say some unbelievable rate. And I'll say, oh, okay, but there's an asterisk. The asterisk said you have to pay 1% or $8,000 to get this interest rate. Guess what? I'm right here exactly where they would be. So just know that I am in line with some of the biggest companies, online companies, telecom companies that have some of the best rates. I'm exactly where they're at. So as long as you're comfortable with that, hopefully you can get over the hurdle that, I'm going to be.
But you're also what you're also doing is you're solving the problem of the mystery of like, well, what if I go to Quicken? We're just going to use Quicken because that's the one you brought up. Go to Quicken and and I see this. Let's use a ridiculous number. Let's say you sell at 2% interest rate, right? You're like, holy shit, that's amazing. But then you realize, well, I don't even know. I'm just making up rates as we go. Just there's no factual basis to this. But then they see that and they're like, oh, well, that puts it. You quoted us 3%, and now I guess that extra money that's going to be 2.999%. Okay, well, you don't have to pay that fee with me. Does that make you feel better?
Or you can pay it and get the same rate. It's like, I think people just want to feel at ease, especially with loan people, because people, I don't know, people trust us less and less. I think that's going away, that misnomer, but people just don't want to, with so many different companies and everybody advertising everywhere, you don't know who's telling the truth and who's getting what. So I think for me, that's one way that I think I'm solving kind of, it's not just about, hey, give me a loan. It's, hey, am I going to get a good deal? Like, I want to make sure I'm going with the best company, or I want to make sure I'm not getting screwed, like kind of the car one that I mentioned.
Right.
So that's something I've been kind of using to help me. I'm not sure if you do something like that.
Oh, dude. I'm with you. And the last time I bought my Jeep that I have now, I mean, I made it really easy on the guy. I'd already done the research. I just walked down there. I heard it fire up. I'm like, yeah, that's coming home with me. But my experience was, dude, this guy didn't do shit. I mean, seriously. And the contract was like 8 feet long, no joke. I did not like that process whatsoever, because then we had to haggle over this and haggle over that and do this. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, make my life easy. And I almost didn't buy it because I was just so fed up with it. But I also needed it because I hated my Mercedes so much. But
I get. No, I was gonna say. So this, I think this part was talking about how companies try to solve issues that people run into, like internally, or their reason why. It's not just about getting a computer, because they brought up Apple too.
Yeah,
it's about my brother doesn't like Apple because it's too limited, and I am starting to like Apple more and more, because yes, I can't do all this other stuff, but it's so easy to use. You can't mess up.
No, and they got virus protection on it and everything else. So they solved that problem. They also made it cool and sexy, right? Yeah. And one of the things I hear from people that we work with, one of the big problems is communication from agents or lenders to the client. 2, it's misrepresentation and or keeping people in the dark. I did a cold call. It's probably 5+ years ago. It was a while back. And I talked to this gal. She's in a place called Roundtail Country Club. It's a nice country club here in Alamo. And I talked to this gal, and I said, are you thinking of selling? She said, well, we just closed. I'm like, oh, congrats. Who was your agent? And she told me the agent's name. And I was like, oh, I know this person. And then this person had a good reputation. And I said, well, out of curiosity, how was your experience? Do you think you'd use this individual again? She's like, I will never use her ever again. And I was like, what? And here's the thing. That agent, when they were going through the negotiations and the whole process, would say multiple times, you don't need to know about that. And then would keep moving. And that was a head scratcher for me. I was just like, what the heck is going on, man? And this person has a good rep. So, I mean, I guess it's taking away all of that, our communication, our, the knowledge of the process, basically making a very large transaction as transparent and as easy to walk through with the least amount of hurdles that people can jump over, and messaging that to them or to buyers. You know what? Hey, come work with me. I have a list of homes that are not even on the market yet that you're going to be the first one to see it. It won't be competing offers. How does that sound? People are like, I would love that. But we never use that in our marketing material. I say that, but we don't use it in marketing material because it's so traditional of like, our team did this. Our team did that. Look at me. Instead of look at them. But when it comes to the problem, that's what I'm trying to get to, but I'm doing very long-winded today for some reason. The villain, the problem has to be the more nasty it is, the better you look when you solve it. Like Luke Skywalker and what's his nuts? His dad. What's his name? Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Luke, I'm your father. But I mean, they were solving some nasty issues. And there's a lot of other examples they gave. But I think one of the things that I'm trying to convey is that once you identify, and I encourage all of you guys to go get this book. It's a phenomenal book. Once you identify the problem, you want to make it as mean and nasty as possible. So you come in as the white knight on the steed, and able to slay the dragon.
Yeah, I think I had a really good quote. You mind if I read it?
Please.
There was something, and it has to do with this internal section, but it says the only reason our customers buy from us is because the external problem we solve is frustrating them in some way. Mm-hmm. If we can identify that frustration, put it into words, and offer to resolve it along with the original external problem, something special happens. We mm-hmm. bond with our customers because we position ourselves more deeply into their narrative. And I really like that for this internal section. It just made me just think a little bit deeper into everybody's got an external problem. How can we make it easier for them, in turn making them bonded to us, essentially? I really, really like that.
Yeah, and look, we all have a problem at some level. Like I'm out of bubbly water, so I got my problem. I want some bubbly water. So guess who's going to solve that for me? Well, I'm going to go to Safeway Postmate. And buy some bubbly. Huh?
Postmates.
Yeah, Postmate. Or Postmate. You millennial. But I mean, if you're hungry, that's a problem. What's the solution? A restaurant provides food. There's your solution to that problem. So I want to. I mean, have you figured out the
Go ahead. Physiological? No.
Oh man, no, we got both of us. Anyways, the third
philosophical.
Philosophical. Thank you. God, what's wrong with us?
This philosophical, the way I read it, is basically people want to believe they're doing the right thing. It's kind of what I took out of it. Okay. As an example, they had an example. Tesla Motors. The villain is gas guzzling inferior technology.
Yeah.
External problem is I need a car.
Okay.
Internal problem is I want to be an early adopter of new technology. The philosophical is my choice of car ought to help save the environment.
Okay.
So it's something deeper, as being bigger than themselves, a bigger problem than just their individual problem.
They were reading. I'm
Does
reading
that make sense?
Yeah, I have this. I have the narrative here, and it says the philosophical problem in a story is about the question of why. So why are you doing it? And you just give a perfect example with the Tesla. Because I want my choice of vehicle to help save the environment. Why are you going with Apple? Or why did you wear Nike shoes? Just do it. You know, you come back and you fill that in. But why do you do it? What is that? Why does it resonate with you? Why do you pay, something that costs 50 cents or free coffee when you go to Starbucks and you pay $3, $4, $5+ for the same product? Because they saw the philosophical issue of community, connecting, identity, of like, what do you say? You don't just say, oh, what's this? Oh, this is my Starbucks. You don't say, oh, this is my coffee. You say, no, this is my Starbucks. I went to Starbucks, whatever it is, but it's that connection point, So I think that there's just so many ways you can go about this and play with this. Have you started your worksheet yet?
No. So for those of you who don't know, when you sign up or buy the book or get it on Amazon or whatever it's called, Audible, you have a free account online where you can sign up, and actually they have the worksheet where you can fill this along and kind of look back at it. They have a section for the villain, for your internal problem, for the external, and for philosophical. So you can kind of follow along on their website. And they have this for the first section too, where you can put in the character. So it is kind of a cool thing. I haven't started the worksheet quite yet. I logged in the system, kind of looked at it. I think after I get through each section, what I'm going to do is go through, because I have a couple of businesses, and one of them I want to really focus on my branding and try to get it off the ground. I'm really going to spend some time kind of going through that storyboard or story brand. And
the cool thing is that it can be anything in life. It can be for your different businesses. It could be maybe for your marriage or whatever else, and how you're communicating. It could be for just understanding how you communicate and what you've been putting out there. And I think it would be fascinating, Miles, if you'd be willing to be as transparent as I know that you are. But each of us will take our old brand, right? And then let's take it apart, and then let's show everyone how we're putting it back together in a different model, and kind of so people can see what that looks like and how the advertisements have changed. And I might even try it right now in a few minutes. But I think
it's a good idea. I would like to try it on, and I think it adds a little accountability and makes you do it. But I think that's a good idea. I would like to try this out and I'm sure I'm going to have issues, and maybe some people can chime in and say, this would be better. I can be like, okay, that might be a good idea.
But isn't that the entire thing, to take an ego out of it? And you know what? We are going to screw it up. You know what? We don't have all the answers. And are we trying something new that we've never done? Yes. We're not going to be masters of our domain right off the bat, but it's going to be interesting to see how the differences are. Like, you might look at me and be like, dude, McDaniel, brother, you like really missed the mark on that one. Like, I do not feel comfortable with that ad. I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. What would you change? And then I'll do the same thing. I'm like, Miles, you just freaking crushed that. What about this tweak or that tweak? I mean, it's just good to bounce. And then we encourage every guys, if and when we're going to share it with you. When you guys start seeing these different ads and the different thought patterns that we're having, dude, weigh in, jump on, like leave some comments there, reach out to us, because this is a thing that we all can do. And I hope all of you guys put this into your business, because I mean, it's just time. It's just time that we stop focusing on ourselves or start focusing on our clients and, speaking to their wants, needs, and desires, instead of, I got to do 36 deals this year, 50 deals this year. I need to make this much commission, but change the, verbiage out to, we're looking to help X amount of families, this year. That's one of the things we've talked about for a while, but I like you, like there's so much in this book, especially this chapter, to really kind of mull over. This is my second time reading the book. And guess what, guys? First time I read it, didn't do shit with it. So this time there's going to be action taken.
I think we should, I think it should be fun for everybody listening and for just us in general. We should either do it next week, do one more chapter and then do it at the end, or do it one specific show where we just go through the first 3 and start going through it. Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Okay, let's start breaking it down. We'll get our sheets. We'll start, filling them out independently, and then we'll come on the show and we'll talk about it. And we'll do a whole 30 minutes on what Miles and I used to do, how we're potentially shifting. And I would love to get feedback and thought patterns on that, because the possibilities on that, because more minds are better than one. I mean, we all can agree with that, unless you work with mental midgets, and then you just don't want to deal with them. But takeaways.
Hey, you know what? Real quick, we did forget something.
What did we forget?
They did talk about what makes a good villain. So we've been talking a lot about villains today, and they kind of said what makes. There's 4 characteristics that make a good villain.
Okay.
1, the villain should be a root source.
Describe that to me. What does that mean?
So they put an example of, what? I think that what they're saying is, I guess I'm trying to think of an example, but I think they're just saying the problem. Actually, I don't even know what they're saying. I thought I had it, but I'm reading it again, and I'm like, you know what? That's the only one I don't understand. Let's come back to that one.
Okay.
The other one is a villain should be relatable.
Yes.
So somebody's problem should. I'm sure a lot of people are frustrated with it, whatever problem it is. The villain should be singular. So one villain's enough. They really harp on this and just say that a story with too many villains falls apart because there's lack of clarity.
Yes, and clarity is a big thing. I think that's a big thing. We can't run past that, because how many movies have you watched when you're just like, wait, so who's the bad guy? What did they do? I mean, what happened? Like, why did we not like him? How many times have you ever seen a villain that you're confused on if you like him or not?
Yeah, I've seen a few, and a lot of it too is I don't understand what we're trying to accomplish in this movie. Where are we going with this? I think that's a big clarity one. The villain should be real. Never go down the path of fear mongering. There are plenty of actual villains to go out there and fight. So let's go after them on behalf of our customers. So don't make anything up. Don't fear monger people into thinking, I know you're a big conspiracy guy, but don't go out and
which I harass you with all the time.
Don't go out there to scare people. Actually bring them real life issues and problems they have, and then that, go out and try to solve those, or make that your basis for selling.
Right. No, I think that's a really good point. So I think something in our industry, not a fear mongering thing, but pointing out the evil villain, right? The iBuyers, which I don't know if they ever popped back on, but I know they paused during COVID. The iBuyers were, that's a big problem for a lot of us agents, because we're like, oh man, these people are just going to come in and completely, take away our business. When in reality, you pay like 14% more when you get an iBuyer, because all the fees and everything that are tacked on. It's definitely a scam. But I mean, we can talk about how, hey, are you worried about these iBuyers coming in and swooping in or whatever? We can fight them with. I don't know. That just popped in my head a little bit. What do you think? Zillow's lying to you? Talk about how the values aren't correct, or I don't know.
I tend to agree. I don't have much on that topic. I don't understand iBuyer as much, so it's a little beyond me.
Oh, okay.
But just to kind of recap on this chapter, I think so. Two things. One, the first section we went through last week was character,
Mm-hmm.
and then this one has a problem more about the villain. Next week we're going to be going through meets a guide, so that one's going to be interesting. I think the call earlier we talked about mentors and guides and people helping us along the way. We're going to help the client along the way.
Yeah, and I think that's we're gonna get into our role at that point and really dive deep into this. And so, what I would love to see you guys do if you're still watching this is do a couple of things. One, kind of write down and see what your advertising is doing now. Pull out some of your advertising pieces. What is the verbiage on there? And then read through this book, work through the worksheets, and just kind of, well, that didn't fit that narrative, or this didn't do that, or I nailed it on that one. But we can start identifying on what's going on, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And then for us, our homework is the next chapter, and we should fill in the 3 sections since we'll be 3 in: character, villain, mentor. We should fill in our own, and maybe we either go through it next week or the week after.
Yeah, no, I'm totally down. I just think this is some really fun stuff, and I think it's if you guys are getting anything out of it, just post a comment, let us know your thoughts. I see Veronica, Guy, Chad, Paul. What's going on, everybody? Good to see you guys. I know it's the middle of a day for most of you, so we kind of, Miles and I figured we'd probably do something around lunchtime so people could sit down and snack on a sandwich and listen to us chatter for about 30 minutes. Where can people learn more about the Miles, the master of all mortgages?
So if you guys so happen to have mortgage questions, want to hear more information about where we are in the market or rates, you can reach me. I think Greg usually puts it below, but I have a phone number is 925-900-8013.
Yes, hold on.
Or Miles at smileynest.com.
Where's your damn number, man? What? There it is. There's Miles's phone number. I'm like, I couldn't find it. You guys, if you guys are loving life and everything else and are enjoying this, here is, I just completed, obviously you guys can always get a hold of me on Facebook. Hit me up on the messenger there. I literally, today I was able to get it. And Bernice Ross, who has been a really big trainer for many, 3 decades or more, probably more. She and I are contributors for Inman. She's been doing it for 19 years. She and I just got done with our first training program, and I am putting the link in here. It's only $3.95 if you guys want to get it. And there's a code. Just use the code McDaniel. Knock $100 off. So it's a 10 section course. A lot of content, a lot of good scripts. Oh my God, are these scripts good? And the reason why I'm saying it is because I had heard a lot of them. I hadn't heard all of them. And even I was like, holy shit balls. I mean, that's what we're talking about here, right? So it says list and sell real estate like crazy for 2020. So feel free and support there. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, I think that's it. Final thoughts on your side. Are you done or are you good?
I'm good. I'm excited for next week.
Me too. All right, guys. We appreciate you. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time with us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.